And we haven't seen each other in a while. And so we were just thinking about how we met. So what do you remember?
Woo. I remember seeing this phenomenal harpist play in Indianapolis at this church, and I was like, oh my God, there's a black harpist. Wow, playing classical. And it was just so exciting to me that I went and I told my husband about her and everything. I was just so excited. And then it just so happened that fate put us together at a Louis Farrakhan lecture, a few weeks later. And I didn't remember who she was. I didn't remember her name. I didn't remember her face.
I look different.
Yeah, but at the when I was there at the lecture, I actually talked to her, and she said she was a harpist. And the next thing I know, I said, "Oh, I saw a harpist from Montreal," and she didn't realize.
Now let's see clearly. Let's see what you remember.
Okay, so
is it recording?
Yeah, so it looks like it's recording. So I just remember being introduced, and really the most vivid memory I have is when she pulled out the harp and she lit into it. It was like, oh my God, where did this angel harpist come from? So that's really what I remember the most. I don't remember. I don't know. I was there during the Farrakhan lecture or anything, so I don't think I remember that. But
okay, let me tell you. Let me tell you my part. So what happened? I had a friend in college who always would talk to me about Farrakhan, and I didn't know. Let's say Minister Louis Farrakhan. So anyway, I knew that he had played violin, he had been calypso and all this, and I had heard a recording that's called "Heed the Call, Y'all," where Minister Farrakhan is playing the violin. So I was in Indianapolis attending Butler University and deciding, what I'm going to do my next step, in terms of the music. And I heard that he was going to be there. So I thought, you know what, let me go and hear him in person. So I go there, and it's this huge stadium, whatever it is, downtown Indianapolis. It's like thousands of people there. And I know it was meant to be an ordained because I see this beautiful couple, like, slender, tall, people there. I don't even know how I approached them. So both of you were there. I remember that. Because it was like, I always call them Pierre. I always say, everybody that knew me at that time was like, Pierre and Kasemi, Pierre and Kasemi, Pierre and Kasemi. Now it's Sharali, Kweli, and Jahari. So I was like, Pierre and Kasemi. So I met them, and so we were talking. And I know it was just ordained because then next thing I know, Johari's telling me that she knows I was in Indianapolis. She's like, I know a harpist who's in Indianapolis from Montreal. And I'm like, and I was like to myself, I'm like, I'm thinking maybe I should meet her. And so we were talking, and come to find out, it's about 2 weeks earlier, I had been performing the last 7 words of Christ at a church, and it was accompanied by an organist and a choir. And Johari had been there, and she had planned to come and talk to me, but she had to leave. So I never got to meet her, and I don't even know how, because I looked very different. I was all dressed up at the church, and that day at Farrakhan, I can't remember what I looked like. So just to say that we were there, it was just really meant to be, and it was just, and ever since then, I'm like, the next week, I don't know, shortly after that, they moved back to Chicago, and they met Brother Phil, and they kept telling me, you've got to move to Chicago to meet Brother Phil.
I remember that part.
Right? Yeah.
And for better or for worse, that's how it went down.
So one day what we're going to do, we're just going to sit down and maybe do like a recollection and just going down and just think about you'll be good.
The Farrakhan concert. I totally blanked on that.
Yeah, because both of you were there, because all I remember is that I saw this slender couple, and I was like, who are these people? They must be like king and queen or something. So I so appreciate you, and I'm so glad to see you again. And we're definitely going to stay in touch and see what we can create, especially we're talking about Brother Phil, Cohran. We have learned so much from him. He's like really, truly enriched our lives. So we definitely want to be a part of setting up a legacy way that his work can be continued and already to be able to bless other generations. Thank you all. Love you.
Love you too.